What's up, everybody? It's Bobby with Tech360.tv, and we're back with our full review of the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. So let's talk about the design. First and foremost, this design is really reminiscent of the Mate RS. And if you haven't seen the Mate RS, that was sort of the Porsche design upgrade version of the P20 Pro that came out a few months back. Now, speaking about the display, the display is bright, vibrant, it's sharp, it's beautiful display, but it is quite saturated. Now, you can go from vivid to normal, and you can adjust the color temperature a little bit, but I think for some photo editing, you might find it not as accurate as other displays on other smartphones out there. So just keep that in mind if you're someone that edits photos. If you're not, it's really stunning to look at, and it's just really vibrant, and yeah, it's a great looking display.
Now, you would have noticed that the notch on the Mate 20 Pro is significantly larger than other phones out there, especially if you compare it to the P20 Pro or even the Mate 20. Now, that's because Huawei's added a 3D depth sensing camera for added security on its 3D Face Unlock feature. Now, the same 3D camera can also be used to create a live model of a toy. Yes, we're going there with this now, which can interact or take pictures with. It's a bit creepy, but it works as described. Now, this AI toy feature, however, will be expected to come out at a later date. Huawei hasn't said when and where, but expect it somewhere.
Okay, let's talk about the colors of the Mate 20 Pro. There's two new colors this season. There's a newer Twilight than the P20 Pro, and I like the Twilight. It's a bit more masculine. It's got this like black to blue to purple. It's really beautiful if you haven't seen it in person. We didn't get that color for the review. We got emerald green. It's a bit like a Wizard of Oz vibe to it, Emerald City. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, this emerald phone. It's beautiful, I love it. And the bezels match it perfectly. Huawei's done an amazing job with the colors. And speaking of that, we gotta talk about the cameras in the back of this. Something different on this year. You got a 40, a 20, and an 8 megapixel camera. Wide angle, ultra wide angle, and telephoto. High resolution, great optical quality. It is Leica cameras in there. You're good to go on that front. Now let's talk about what's new in this phone. First and foremost, you've got the fingerprint reader under the screen. And you know what? It was in the Mate RS, worked great there. It works even better in the Mate 20 Pro. And it's gotta be because of the new processor they've got in this, the Kirin 980, 7nm chip in it. It's fast, it's fluid. All these things work really, really well. So, if you're worried about that, don't worry about it. It is a very good way to unlock it. But let's get down to what it's like to use day to day, because you've seen the specs already in this phone, right? 128 gigs of onboard storage, you got 6 gigabytes of RAM, you've got a 4200 milliamp battery in this thing that's gonna last you all day. But what's it like to use day to day? Okay, day to day, it's a good phone. Huawei's done an amazing job with the phones. I mean, the P20 Pro, the Mate RS were fantastic phones. They bettered it with the Mate 20. There's no issues at all.
The new Kirin 980 in here is also a pretty great chipset all around. In fact, during our test, we found it to have a slight edge in speed over the Snapdragon 845. But what's going to set this chipset apart from the competition is its neural processing unit, or NPU. Now, they first introduced this in the Kirin 970. NPUs are designed to handle AI applications more efficiently. Now, with the Kirin 980, there is not one, but now 2 NPUs on board, which means even better AI performance. Hopefully, though, we're going to see more AI apps take advantage of the NPU soon.
Also has something new that we call reverse wireless charging. Now, this has been a very discussed topic in our first impressions video, and a lot of people were sort of giving me crap about it because I was a little bit, I wasn't too sure if it was going to work or not. So I put it through its tests, and it's a hit and miss. There's been some tests out there where people use their iPhone and they put it on this phone to turn it on, but it doesn't really work with iOS devices. Actually, it doesn't really work at all. I mean, it charges, but maybe 1% after a half hour. It's really that bad. But if you move it to the Pixel 3, if you move it to another Huawei phone, if you move it to a Samsung phone, now we're talking a different ballgame. It does charge pretty fast, but you are going to sacrifice your own battery life. So if you want to be a wireless Samaritan using this phone by giving your phone to other people to charge for them, you can do that. However, you need to know a couple things about the reverse wireless charging. So you have to set it down. Then you have to put the phone on top. Then you have to wait. You could hold two phones back to back, but someone's not gonna be able to use their phone and you can't use the other phone, and you could be doing this, but it's a little bit cumbersome. Also, another case in point, to turn on the reverse wireless charging, you have to go deep in the menu system. There's no quick launch icon to it, and let's say in the drop-down menu. It's not there. You can't add it there, which I find a bit odd because it's one of their star features of the phone. You would think that it would be much more accessible. Personally, for me, I would use it only when I need to, and you gotta check out which devices work well with it or not, because like I said, it's a hit and miss. But it works better than I thought it did. So for those who watched my first impressions video, yes, it's actually a real thing. It's legitimate. Good job for Huawei to think about it. And now if they just come out with accessories that can utilize it. What else? Let's talk about image quality on this camera, because there's some new things with this camera. Like I said, you got the 40 megapixel, you got the 20 megapixel ultra wide, and then you got the 8 megapixel telephoto, but you're missing the monochrome sensor. Now, if I shoot with Leica cameras, right? And the monochrome was always a cool thing, because if you ever used a monochrome Leica camera, they sell one, just shoots black and white. The images out of a monochrome sensor are beautiful, the breathtaking, the detail, the clarity. It's really different than a colored sensor. But what it also does in conjunction with a colored sensor, when you're shooting colored photos, is it gives a nice little micro contrast. I feel like we're missing a little bit of that in these photos. Now Huawei, and like I said, well, the sensors are so good now, we don't need it. I disagree. The monochrome does help a little bit. Is it a huge difference? No, but it does give Huawei's pictures, which you see on the P20 Pro and the Mate RS, and the previous P series and the Mate series phones, a little bit different quality to the photos, which I preferred.
But let's talk more about the ultra wide lens. In addition to capturing more of a scene, it also works really well as a macro lens. As a matter of fact, we got as close as 2.5 centimeters away from a subject and still were able to get a very sharp, in-focused shot.
But overall image quality is good on it. I will say this about the Huawei cameras. They talk a lot about megapixels, but the reality of it is, to get all the effects that they have, like they say the portrait mode and all these zooms and all these things, you can only shoot with 10 megapixels. I do wish that Huawei would allow those effects to work on a 40 megapixel full resolution image. That would be so much better. Okay, got that out of the way. Let's talk about the front-facing camera. This is Huawei's Achilles heel. 24 megapixel sensor on the front. You're thinking, wow, man, my selfies are gonna be sharp and clear and all the detail in my faces. No. I don't know if it's software. I don't know if it's just a really not a good sensor. I don't know what's going on with Huawei's selfies. I really don't. The colors are desaturated. They now have this option there for different skin tones. It doesn't work. So I don't know what happened to Huawei, and maybe it's a software thing, but they really got to fix this front-facing camera, because to me, honestly, this is one of the things where I was really disappointed in the phone. And I like a lot of things about this phone, but the front-facing camera is not one of them. And they've got all these different effects now, these little bubbles in the background and blinds and different colors, and it's fun. It's like a Snapchat or an Insta Stories kind of filter to it and stuff like that. I don't know how much you're going to use it. I'm a little bit old for those kind of things. I'm probably not their target market, but I will say, as far as image quality goes and skin tone, that needs to be improved.
One more thing with the Mate 20 series. Huawei's introduced a new card format called the Nano Memory Card. Now, as its name suggests, it's similar to the size of a nano SIM, which makes it slightly smaller than a micro SD card. And it's available in capacities up to 256 gigabytes. Now, while we like the idea of having a memory card slot that can double as a second SIM card slot, we're not too keen about the Nano Memory Card, which is currently a proprietary format only sold by Huawei.
But that's really about it, honestly. I mean, the Mate 20 Pro is a good phone. If you have the P20 Pro, is it worth the upgrade? I mean, the Kirin 980 is a better processor. It's the 7 nanometer. It's supposed to be faster, all these things. But day-to-day usage, you're really not going to notice much of a difference. Cameras-wise, you're really not going to know much of a difference. I mean, of course, the ultra-wide is cool to have, and people like shooting with that. But if you're not an ultra-wide person, the P20 Pro is great. The Mate RS is great. I haven't tried the Porsche design in this, which looks beautiful, by the way. And Porsche design does tweak some things here and there, so it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. But as far as Huawei goes in the market, this is a solid phone, man. I can't really fault it for anything except the front-facing camera. which could be improved with software, I feel. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. We love subscribers. Subscribe to us, follow us, give us comments. We love your feedback. Follow us on Facebook, share our videos. Until the next one, take care.